Welcome to the Paracast. Tonight's theme, the paranormal smorgasbord.
This feast is enchanting. The salads have immense use of the light. The essence lingers.
Welcome, everybody, to the Paranormal Smorgasbord. As you just saw on that amazing graphic, thank you, Jason. My name is Heidi.
And I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Toast.
Yes. And here we are, all gathered around the table for the smorgasbord on this April Fool's Day.
A wonderful April 1st. Yes.
Well, and so today's a full moon. And today they sent a rocket to the moon. It just launched about an hour and a half ago. I watched it. It was really fun for the first time since 1972. So how exciting is that? And it went up.
Right.
It's exciting stuff. So they did this on a full moon. I don't know if that was intentional or whatever, but how cool, And they said,
I was kind of.
Well, and the astronauts said they could see the moon coming up over the horizon, as they were, in space.
That's gotta be.
That's awesome.
That was one of my early candidates. I thought that was an April Fool's joke, actually.
Well, they didn't say much about it, right? I didn't even. I think I was watching CBS one afternoon, and they were interviewing, or Tony Koppel was on, who's the host of the evening news, and they said, "Oh, we heard you scored a ticket to the big event on Wednesday," and I'm like, why haven't they talked about this? I think it's a pretty significant thing. 1972, that's 54 years ago. You know,
that's huge.
I know.
You would think it would be a much bigger deal.
Well, that's what I think. And they're saying they want to put like a colony on the moon, which we've been hearing about all our lives, but maybe we're one step closer to being there now or something, but I mean, it's pretty wild, so I don't know. It's fun stuff. It'll be fun. They're going to be up for 10 days. I don't know if they're actually going to land on the moon or if it's just, I think they might just be going around it, taking pictures or something. I don't really know. I didn't hear the whole story, but
I think that's what they're doing. They're owned it or something.
Yeah.
They're actually going on it.
Yeah. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. I agree that I think I don't understand why it hasn't been more publicized. I just saw it the other day too. And I thought, well, it is kind of a big deal. So, we're so, we've been so into exploring so much of the universe. How far out can we go? And now we're back here, one of the closest things to our planet, or the closest thing, right? Depending on
well,
and
it seems like one of the goals is this is like the first step into maybe more space exploration and going to further places, like Mars and whatever. So now they have the technology. The technology is a lot better than 52 years ago. So this might kind of launch a whole bunch of different things. That's what they were talking to. They had some astronauts with Tony Koppel tonight, and they were all talking that this is like the next step, right? So it's kind of fascinating and exciting,
So what
and
about,
weird that it's so low key.
Yes,
it does feel low key. I'm just curious, like where do people stand if they're of the belief that the moon is a satellite for aliens?
It will be very hard to work with that one. It'll be curious to see how the evidence that they bring forth, how that shapes the conversations.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm kind of really looking forward to that, actually, because especially if they come up with something, like the first time we've had pictures of the dark side of the moon and stuff, and I've always made the joke that they faked the moon landing and they did it on the dark side of the moon.
I know. Well, those theories have been out there forever, right? We've all seen it. They staged it in a Hollywood studio or something. You know what I mean? So, but I think they had on one of the last astronauts who actually walked on the moon was on this little interview thing with Tony Koppel this afternoon. And he was saying, yep, his footprints are still there all these years later. Isn't that wild? Because there's no atmosphere there. So everything that is there stays forever,
Wow.
Very interesting.
That's
Very
kind of
cool.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
So
and here we are chasing Bigfoot prints all the
I
time that
know.
seem to disappear, and yeah.
Disappear immediately almost.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for sure. And you know, here's the thing: you almost never find a print, at least we don't, that is capable of being, you know, set cast. You know, because they're
Yeah.
just either in snow or they're not deep enough. You know, it's elusive, elusive.
Mm-hmm.
Which next week we'll be talking about the Patterson film, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this whole new
Mm-hmm.
documentary capturing Bigfoot, which is like throwing a whole wrench in the whole Bigfoot community who believed in the Patterson film, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it'll
Yeah.
be
Because and we've all been fed little tidbits, and
Mhm.
you know, oh, they have this and they have that, and it's gotten people kind of, some people have gotten pretty nasty with each other
Mhm.
over it, and very few of us have seen any of the evidence yet that
Yeah.
you know, that we're
Yeah.
all either trashing or you know, glorifying, and it's been kind of interesting.
I
It's been
know.
interesting kind of watching the way the paranormal world is starting to mesh more with like regular news. Like there was
Mhm.
all those Ohio Bigfoot sightings that were making like all of the news, from like Fox News to MSNBC to even like, you know, like People magazine and stuff. And then like all these meteorites that and such, that, you know, people are saying those aren't meteorites, those are something else. Those,
Yeah.
there's been like a rash of those. And so even if you aren't looking at like the stuff that we look at, you're seeing lots of
Yeah.
interesting events, you know,
Yes.
that, you know, bring out a lot of mystery and stuff.
I know.
Mhm.
It's wild, isn't it?
You know, you
But
think
Mm-hmm.
about over the last 10 years or so, how there's been so much more, or maybe even a little bit longer, there's been so much more coming out from the government as well around like UAPs and things like that too.
Mhm.
And so you kind of wonder if there's some method behind this to, you know, to kind of ease us into something else that could be coming, some kind of transition of like, here's what we actually know, here's what's actually
Mm-hmm.
going on, and trying to, you know, kind of ease us into this process so that, you know, because I can't imagine the absolute chaos if it just got dropped in our laps. So
Yeah.
you wonder if there's a bigger process going on behind the scenes of like, you know what, we're just going to keep putting this stuff out to get people more used to it so that when we, you know, unload some of the bigger stuff, it's not so terrifying.
Mhm.
Yeah, 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 and not turn everything upside down. Yeah,
Mhm.
because you know, it just seems like it used to be like the stuff that we were into was kind of off in its own little niche, but it's
Mhm.
really blending with the national psyche and stuff, you know. And then like a
Mhm.
lot of us, you know, in the Bigfoot world and stuff, we've been hearing about things like quantum entanglement and things like that, you know, as all of us have tried to figure out all these like mysteries and what ifs and stuff. So we're kind of a little ahead of the curve on that all these like emerging stories, you know. Um,
Mhm.
I know.
and you know, and maybe too, that's part of, could be part of the plan, because like with the internet and stuff and everybody having access, it's taken a long time for people to figure out like even how to handle like arguments with each other and stuff online, and you know, like
Mhm.
people getting torn over like politics, or torn
Mhm.
even like over Bigfoot, you know.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And you know, we've got to learn how to interact with each other when we don't understand or know what the other one's dealing with. So
Mhm.
it's kind of cool, and it feels like us in the paranormal world, we've we're a little ahead of the curve on that, you know,
Yeah,
because we've had to defend our ideas a lot,
absolutely.
and you know, we've had to have like split offs where you believe this and I believe that, but we're still friends,
Yes.
you know. And so we're a little ahead of the curve on a lot of that stuff, even like all these podcasts and stuff, you know. Like I think Bigfoot and paranormal was, you know, really instrumental in getting these things like StreamYard taken off.
Mm-hmm. I do too. Well, there's a lot of them out there, but
Yes.
it'll be so for those of you watching, it'll be a fun show next week because we're going to talk about, we have some things to talk about the Patterson film, and then we can talk about maybe the controversy with this new documentary that only a few people have seen because they showed it at South by Southwest, but it's not widely available yet. But we'll talk about what we know about it, which isn't much. But a lot of, I've seen a lot of podcasts of people who have seen it, who are true believers in the Patterson film, who saw this documentary, who are like, it was all a hoax. And I mean, they're just like stunned beyond belief, So I don't know. It's really interesting. And what's interesting is, Matt Moneymaker is defending the Patterson film staunchly on his Facebook post. He's like, no way, that's the true deal, real deal, whatever. But what's cool, like you said, Jason, everybody can have their own opinion. So I've seen comments have come in and they say, well, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like this person was being mean to somebody else who had commented. And he said, all right, let's stop that right now. I don't appreciate that. We can all believe what we believe. I'm telling you what but let's be fair and nice to each other, kindness,
yes. Yeah.
So,
and it's also reopened like some of the stories that were leading up to why those guys went there, because there was a lot of things going on. They didn't just happen to be there. And it's kind of shining some of the light on that stuff that, that has come out. So one thing I came across a couple of days ago that I'd never seen before was Bob Gimlin going under hypnosis.
I saw that.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Yeah. That was kind of interesting. Yeah. So there's been a lot to watch. And another thing, that's another movie. Speaking of movies, there's a movie coming out on Amazon called S4, and it's about Bob Lazar and his forthcoming stuff about reverse engineering on alien craft at Area 51. He's been on Joe Rogan a couple times. I think at one point his first visit to Joe Rogan was like Joe's number one at the time podcast. I might be wrong on that, but it was very popular. So I'm really looking forward to that. Bob Lazar, I'm a big fan of Bob Lazar.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, that'll be good too. And that's going to be available this weekend, I think you said, right? And on Amazon?
Yeah, on Amazon, and it's called S4. And it's not made by Bob Lazar, but it's made by some people that are close to him, and they interview him a lot. And there's a lot of stuff on there about the reverse engineering and different elements that might be used for fuel. For like interstellar travel. And that's kind of where Bob Lazar goes, is that somebody has these special fuels that help propel crafts through in ways that we're not familiar. So it's it's a big couple of weeks for movies and stuff.
Yeah, very cool.
So hopefully it's pretty good.
I know.
Check it out.
I hope so too. We'll have to watch it for sure. But so UFOs, Bigfoot, paranormal. I mean, wow. And next week, so let's do this. So I think I said something a few weeks ago about how the Sim Crew was contacted by one of the major paranormal shows that they do, cryptids and paranormal and whatever, on the Discovery Channel about a case that we did probably 5 or 6 years ago. I was not on the case. I was on hiatus from Sim for a couple of years to get Squatchers going. But it was about Wendigos. And Jerry is actually going to Bemidji with the film crew, and they're going to be filming next week. So it's going to be fun. I'll have to let you guys know when it airs. But he's going to be up there for a few days. So how exciting is that?
Good
that
for him.
Is.
Yeah.
That's it. That's a very dark subject too.
It is. And he wasn't gonna, I told him, I don't think you should do this. I mean, because, we've been told by elders, and we don't dabble in that. That is the one subject no. But, they've also said he asked to them, the ones that we know, and they said, as long as you approach it as a paranormal investigator and what you experienced and what you think, that's fine. Don't bring anything else in there. So that is what he's going to do. So, but he's going to also be on a few other investigations, I guess, up there. I don't really know what they've got in store for him, but he's excited. I think it'll be really fun for him, and it'll be really good for the crew. So fun.
Yeah. There's a friend of ours named Ryan Tremblay has a lot of good stuff about Wendigos, and yeah, that's some dark weird stuff that blends a lot of the. That's really cool. That's really cool. Well, I hope Jerry has some good luck with that.
I do too. I think it'll, it's kind of a taboo subject. And the producers talked to me about it too. And I said, that's really a taboo subject. I don't even think I want to say the name because, we just don't say it just because you might bring it in. Are you kidding? And I'm like, no, I'm not. You know what I mean? You want to talk about other cryptids? Hey, I'm ready to go. Let's roll. But not that, So anyway,
well, I can't wait to hear about it.
I know it's going to be fun. He's going to have a really good time. So I'm excited for him.
That's cool. Do we have any idea what is it? So that would probably be something in like late summer or fall for Showtime.
Yeah, I'm guessing. I don't know if it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be a new season. I don't know how it all works. You know what I mean? I don't know how that works. But yeah, it'll be fun. I think he said it's going to be a 1 or 2 hour show, maybe. I'm not really sure. It might be longer than the average, And he's all nervous. And I'm like, but Jerry, we've already been on one show, because we were on the Travel Channel, And he's like, that was different. That was just like us being interviewed, and I wasn't like out in the field and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but you get the idea.
And how many hours does he have? Behind the microphone. Thousands of hours.
Yes. Exactly. So anyway, we're excited for him.
That's cool.
Jerry, I know he's not watching tonight because I think he's actually in a meeting. So
nice.
But yeah,
nice. I do miss him in the chat room.
Yeah, I know. And maybe he might be able to get in there later. I just don't know how long this meeting is going to last. But yeah, I know. I'm bummed. I'm like, oh, really? So you're taking that over the gathering?
That's right.
Sometimes you just got to do it, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So
one last note from me. I went to that AI conference last week, and that's what I was filming, and I didn't get back till late that night too. So that was good timing. But it was interesting watching with the AI stuff because I've done that conference. This was my third time filming it, and watching it kind of morph and stuff. And one of the things I've really noticed is like what we used to like refer to as bots and stuff. They're starting to morph into what they're called agents. And pretty soon, instead of having your own like bots, you have like this AI based agent that does tasks for you and stuff, like kind of like your phone tries to do with your news and stuff, but you can get real precise with these. And that's one of the things that the vernacular I've really noticed is you don't ever hear them refer to bots. You'll hear them refer to AI agents, and it's agents, and so, yeah. And it was kind of interesting because you could tell like it was a bunch of consultants, but you could tell a lot of people still don't really know what's going on with it all, but they want to be a part of it, but they're not real sure.
Yeah. You have to. I know we had a sim crew get together this weekend to do some things. We're going to be at a conference next month, but and Annie was, one of our crewmates was talking about, because we're creating a few things at the table, and she said, yeah, I just told Copilot what I wanted and it spit this out and it's fabulous. I said, isn't it great? I mean, you just type in a few words and it spits out this fabulous thing. It's I don't know, it's kind of scary actually, and she's like, yeah. But when you get used to it, it's like, oh, whatever,
Yeah. And people, you get into all kinds of weird issues, like with proprietary stuff. What information can you feed into it and stuff? because once you enter information to some of these, you don't own it anymore,
That's
or
right.
it has access to things, and there's even like now, like you can set up like on your laptop an agent that's not connected to the internet. And once you have it loaded onto your laptop or your phone, it's there, and it doesn't have to be hooked to the internet. And it doesn't use nearly as much data. It doesn't comb through near as much data. It's kind of pared down, so it uses less energy on your phone and stuff. And it's really interesting because instead of like having to log into Chat GPT or anything, you could be completely offline and open up this one that I know of is called Apollo, and have all that on there. And I have a buddy actually who's kind of a prepper, and he took a laptop and he loaded this Apollo AI agent on it, and then he loaded thousands of PDFs for like survival type things.
Mhm.
And then he loaded all those onto this laptop with this Apollo AI agent, and then he closed it up and he put it in a microwave, and he's got it stashed somewhere as like an EMP proof digital library, and that he could, open up as long as he's got some kind of battery or something. But yeah, and you don't need internet access. You just need to be able to fire up, and that thing could comb through all those PDFs. You can say, "How do I start a fire?" And it would come up with all these things for you, and you would have no internet connection.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah.
I
It's
love
kind
it.
of Dick Tracy-ish. Yeah.
I love it, and I don't, all at the same time, because a lot of
Yeah.
jobs will go obsolete once everybody starts using this. And I guess that's why we really need to stay on top of the AI business so that we know how to use it, and it's all good,
Yep. Yeah.
Ugh. Well, the only thing that I really came up with for tonight is I happened to stumble across this story about a lost and underwater city that they have found. It's an amateur archaeologist. His name is George Jallet, I think. And he's found what he believes is an underwater city east of New Orleans, and he calls it Crescentus. And it's quite fascinating. If you go through there, he thinks it's 12,000 years old. There's actually a pyramid there, not unlike the Egyptian pyramids. Somebody needs to really look at this. He's funded all the things that they've looked at now, but wouldn't it be cool if they could get the funding to actually go down there and see what they can find? Because that's
So how far down is it?
Pardon me?
How far down is it?
I don't know. I didn't get the depth. Sorry, but he thinks it's the carbon dating on some of the chunks of the granite that he's taken out is 12,000 years old, and it's 50 miles east of New Orleans, and there's a pyramid involved. And he talks about UFOs and how they think that and we've said this before about how some of the pyramids must have been created by someone not of this world, So it's quite fascinating. I think we'll put the link in the chat too. So if you want to go look at it, it's
Yeah.
really
And there's a lot of documentation about North American pyramids. Some of them not too far from me, over in Ohio. And Ohio actually was supposed to have a huge one. And we're supposed to have a lot of pyramids here in the States. So that's kind of, it lends itself well to that.
Well, and underwater stuff. I mean, we've had these shows before on The Gathering about the Great Lakes, and how there's a couple of different places in Lake Michigan and Lake Huron where there's one place that almost looks like that temple. Why can't I think
It's
of it?
like Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Up like in the convergence, like in the middle of Huron, and where Huron and Superior and
it really does. It's really wild.
Yes, it's really cool. And then there's another one like in southern Lake Michigan too. That one isn't quite as Stonehenge, and they don't really know what they are. But I mean, okay, But rocks just don't create circles like that in the middle of the water. And the water may not have been there when they were created, right? So it's very cool. We're finding all this really neat stuff. And the key is, well, what was it? If we could find that out, that would just be fantastic. But so
what don't we know?
I know. So called Crescentus, 50 miles east of New Orleans in the Gulf. It's cool. It's a cool story. So have a look for those of you who like
That's
that.
cool. I see you have that in. We've got that in the chat comments. So I'm definitely going to check that out.
Yeah,
that looks cool.
It's really cool. And I hope somebody will bankroll another expedition down there so they can really go to it and see what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm reading that article right now. It looks pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. It looks fascinating.
I'm trying to see how deep it is. Like, where is it? But I can't find it.
I don't think it mentions that. I know you asked me that, but it but they do. It's okay. So it is saying there's a 280-foot pyramid jutting up from the ocean floor.
Nice.
Which this architect claims is a powerful electromagnetic signature that affects passing boats. Oh, interesting.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Geographically related to the Great Pyramid of Gaza in Egypt. So
that's interesting.
Jeez,
yes, because I've heard that said about that Ohio pyramid. Oh,
yeah. Maybe we can get this guy on the show. That would really be fun.
That would be sweet. That would be sweet.
Yeah.
You have a mission.
Oh. I have a mission. Yeah, it's on my calendar. So, so this has been a fun show. Do you guys have anything else? Heidi, you've been a little bit quiet here tonight.
Oh, sorry. My dog has been freaking out this whole show, and I don't know what's going on because he never does this. So I'm going to take off as soon as we're done here. But no, I was going to just talk about a little bit, and I won't now because I want to get going. But I have an investigation coming up next week that hopefully I'll be able to bring some cool information to a show about it. We're going to be out of town. I can't say where yet because I don't have permission, but the people own a couple of buildings in a town that has a really cool main street, and they own some, the buildings have businesses on the main floor and then Airbnbs up above it. And they've had some weird stuff going on in all the areas, from the basement to the businesses to the apartments that they're renting out, and they want the whole shebang investigated. And so I'm super excited to get to this place because it's a town that has a lot of interesting history. So we're wondering, is any of it like past stuff, or there have been some not so distant past happenings in the buildings that we wonder if that could have stirred some things up. So we're curious to find, what's possibly there. So hopefully we can get some cool evidence and bring it to one of our shows here.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Too. That'll be cool too.
Yeah, it's a lot of square footage, though. It's crazy.
And since our last show too, I've had one of the I had a contact up in northern Minnesota contact me and say, "Hey, Steffi, I think you should bring the team up here before a fishing opener." I'm like, "Why?" Well, I have some things, and I'm like, well, let me see if I can get a few of the girls and we'll come up. Not for a weekend. None of us just have a weekend free. But, maybe just for the day and see what it's all about and then go up there again, for a nighttime thing. But that's kind of exciting too, right? So.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, good luck. Good luck to both of you on those.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hopefully there's some cool stuff.
Yeah. Now, are you going up this weekend or next week?
Me?
Heidi.
Next week.
That's cool. That's cool. Good.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. So lots of things going on. It's an active time.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, maybe your dog see some UFOs back there or something.
He could be trying to warn me that they're about to beam me up. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Considering he never acts like this and I can't get a hold of Tim, that I'm wondering what's going on. So,
Dewey's been a little wild for the show too, but I've just kind of tried to calm him down too. So I don't know. Maybe there's something in the air. I don't know. No. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for watching tonight. And
All
thank
right.
you to our troops. I know you're out there. Please be safe. And thank you for your service. We certainly appreciate it.
And everybody in the chat room, thanks for hopping in, and wherever you're watching us, thank you for tuning in. Please follow us on YouTube and Facebook. And if you have any ideas for shows, go ahead and send those to us so we can do a little research and get your idea into one of our episodes. Thank you to Cryptovania TV for hosting the Gathering Paracast, and to Trost, our amazing producer. And you just do amazing work every week. So we are really grateful, and we'll see you all next week.
Yeah. Good night,
Awesome.
everyone.
Awesome. Good night, everyone. And
This spread is legendary. I'm starting with the greens.
Ha! Save some for the rest of us, Furball.
The meat platters are optimal. We will sample
This
extensively.
year is deliciously chaotic.
Hash the ribs.